Welcome back to Final Expense Telesales. My name is Dana Neeson. I am super excited to bring you one of the first people in this industry that had a dramatic impact on my life insurance career. He probably doesn't even know that. So, we're going to talk a little bit about this today. 5 years later, we now have I would maybe say a friendship, a good business relationship, and I'm excited to have Mr. Cody Askins on my channel. Welcome, Cody.
Thank you so much. I have been a fan and a follower for so many years. You have literally some of the best telesales content in the world, and I'm honored to be on your channel. I love Dana Neeson and Shell and the whole family.
Thank you. And likewise, this industry, especially if you're watching this and you're brand new in the industry, I used to feel like it was so big. Like, oh my God, there's so many people in it and there's so many places to go. And the longer you're in it and the more people you network with and meet, you realize how small it actually is. And I think that's one of the coolest things about the industry. And so
Yeah,
I don't even know if
totally
I've
agree.
shared this story with you, but when I first got my life insurance license, there were two people that I was following on YouTube trying to help me put a script together. Because as you know, I got in with Lincoln Heritage, and the script that was given to me was just a field sales script as I was trying to build this telesales team from the ground up. So I watched you religiously and I watched David DeFord. And it was you too that kind of helped. I would send your videos to Adam Hale all the time. Like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And he'd be like, it's just noise. Like, just follow the
Yeah.
process, like how we tell new agents. And so it's so surreal to me 5 years later to have my own channel, to have people tell me that they watch me when they're first getting into the business, and then having you on my channel, like such a full circle moment for me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This industry, it does end up feeling smaller the longer you're in it.
Yes.
And there is a lot of if you're out there and you're like, dude, I'm new and I'm like terrified. There's a lot of good people like Dana in this industry who really care about you and really want to see you win. Now, unfortunately, that's not everyone, but there's a lot of good people. So you'll be all right.
So we've had this on the books for a couple of months now, which gave me a lot of time to come up with some really good
Wow.
questions because I didn't want this to be the same interview that you've always done. I know you've done a ton of interviews. So I didn't want it to be like the same. How did you get in? What's your
Thank you.
like?
Thank you, by the way. That's amazing.
So I wrote down a lot of questions, probably more than we'll even get to, but I wanted it to hopefully provide a lot of value to people that want to have their own channel, that want to be a Cody Askins one day, that feel like it's so out of reach. And so we're gonna get deep. Are you good with that?
I am good with that. All I got to say is be careful what you ask for because there's a lot of days I don't want to be Cody Askins either. So
And you know what? That's gonna be part of one of the questions. And so why don't we just start there since you brought
yeah.
it one of the questions I have is, do you ever feel like the Cody Askins brand has become a pressure that you now have to live up to? And if so, how do you kind of manage
Yeah.
that weight behind the scenes?
Dang. That's such a good
We're just going
tough,
to go right
deep.
there.
Freaking love that. No one's ever asked me that. And I think about it every day, but nobody ever mentions it or even checks on it, really, yeah, the bigger you and plenty of people are way bigger than Cody Haskins, right? But what we've built in insurance has been special. Huge credit to our team. We've been devoted for almost a decade of putting out content every day and trying to help people. There's a lot of pressure and weight. There's a lot of also politics that come with trying to do something like this where you're trying to be friends with many people as you can be, like that is honestly the most challenging thing of what I do. I do have this, I think I put a lot of pressure. I put more pressure on me than anybody else does.
Mhm.
As I know you do too. Like I put a lot of pressure on me performing. Like I always think of the old Jordan story where he's playing ball and he said that he didn't he played every game because he had when he could because he would have a 10-year-old kid that may have paid his last $40 to be there with his dad and has never seen him play before and will probably never see him again. And so I think about that when I'm shooting videos. I think about that when I'm jumping on a stage or doing a road show. Um, like I see the amount of people that I see the big people that I've paid to be around, and there's like a curtain and you can't go back there, or there's like security, or there's like red velvet rope, and like I was on a yacht one time. Fat Joe was performing, a couple billionaires and a few hundred people, and the person that put it on, and I paid like probably about 20 grand to be on this yacht, and
You
an
got paid
event.
20 grand to be on the yacht.
Correct. I paid 20 grand to be on the yacht. I
Okay.
paid, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I said the other way around, but I
Yeah.
I paid, physically paid. I wish I got paid 20 grand to be on a yacht. I'd be like, I'm in.
Wow, I had no idea. Those I'm erasing all my questions and starting over.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Gosh, I wish. I'm
Okay.
not, Kendall Jenner yet. So I physically paid to get on this yacht, and the person who was hosting the event was behind the velvet rope with security, and you could never get to them.
Hmm.
And I get goosebumps thinking about that because I remember thinking like, I don't want to ever be that person. Now I realize my team worries about my time. My team worries about people taking advantage and constantly pulling at me, and my wife especially, which I get.
Yeah.
Um, and that happens several dozen times a day, right? However, and that's what happens when 50,000 people probably have your cell phone number. Um, however, at the end of the day, like I love what I do. Um, Also, stop me if I answer these questions too long because I just keep thinking about stuff as you're asking me this. This question is so
Well,
deep.
I'll take this one layer deeper for you because how
Yeah.
I envisioned the question is there's a popular influencer. I don't even know his name, but he started taking like a GoPro on these big vacations and filming his journey. And he ended up getting like sponsored by people to have him go on vacations to film crazy
Mm,
things he would do, because the audience is who they're targeting, right? So
yeah.
he ended up saying like, man, I can't even like enjoy my vacations anymore because I have like this pressure to live up to
Yeah.
all these people that are trying to pay me to do this. And so sometimes, like for me even, and I'm much smaller in this space, but sometimes you feel like what would happen if I just like stopped? And so like the pressure of like always having to be
Yeah.
on and deliver content and deliver more value and like deliver the 8% and just like always go, 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 go. Like, do
Yeah.
you ever feel like you just can't just stop?
Yeah. I feel like I mean, at this point, I'm a, I'm almost like afraid I'll just be doing all of this forever. Because and it's weird to say that way, but like I like to evolve. I am an idea person. Like I don't want this to look the same forever. Like that's the reason I love like not to promote, but I do that a lot anyway. Like having Kaboom and then having CA Studios have allowed us to scale something that doesn't revolve around my time. You know,
Yes. Yes.
that's been amazing.
So what do you think people, if you ever think of this at all, but do you think people misunderstand your ambition? And if so, has it ever like cost you something personal or professional in your life because people don't understand you?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I get misunderstood a lot. Like when you get to spend time with someone, you really get to know them. Like you think you know somebody when you watch them online. You really don't, like if we're being honest, you really don't. Like you can learn a lot about me by watching me on Instagram, my stories and stuff. But like I had a family friend a couple of years ago when I was going through some stuff that we may or may not get into. And it was the most challenging part of my career ever so far. And it's not all, people assume everything is perfect and rosy and, we're just making $1 billion and, life is amazing. I wish that was always true, even though we're very grateful and blessed and I'm having fun. But
Yeah.
I had a family friend a couple years ago that was like, when she saw my videos, she's like, something is off with Cody.
Hmm.
And nobody online would probably notice, but that person did, And so, yeah, we all go through stuff and it's really challenging. And there is, back to your point too, there is a ton of there is a ton of pressure because I've got to keep showing up and performing and doing my thing, like it's a lot, but I also do deeply enjoy it too.
Love it. I mean, you have to love it because
Yeah.
without that, then it does become the pressure. What about, and I'm asking you a lot of questions that I think about a lot.
Mhm.
So this is kind of like my opportunity to get like your thoughts out here on YouTube. What about when you hit goals? Like, do you actually
Yeah.
practice the celebration of hitting goals, or do you do you have like is it hard for you to celebrate goals because then you're just like, okay, what's next? What is that like for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I almost get emotional when you ask that question because I do not celebrate well.
I don't either.
I just don't
What
like
about? Have you ever talked to anyone about that?
just Lauren,
What does
like,
Ryan say about just not being able to sit in the celebration of an accomplishment? Like, for example, we just got off 8%, right? The
hmm
8%, which was an incredible event. I mean, you guys, like you could tell how much work, energy, time, dedication, blood, sweat, tears, everything went into that. And when that's done, it's like, do you allow yourself to like celebrate and enjoy what you just did, or is it like on to the next thing now? It's not good enough. We always have to up our game. And like, what did you do after the conference was over?
uh, so it was over. We were done like packing up probably around 4-ish or something like that, and then we sent the team back to Springfield, and then we stayed for the celebration party. But I went back to the Airbnb for only a couple hours to change and then go to the next thing, which we saw you and Shell and the team at. And I was sitting at the Airbnb, actually in the pool, just that was nice, with several of the people that like Dylan and Keith and other people. Actually, no, they went home. It was Rodney and Dustin and Jesse. For those that know who those are, and all we talked about was how it can be better for next year. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
Yes.
I'm constantly, and even after, like I normally go, Lauren and I go take a few days or a week and go somewhere to relax, because I mean, yeah, for those 4 or 5 days, holy freaking crap, it's a lot. Um, but we went back to work Monday morning, and I told the sales team, I'm going to spend the week with you guys. I've never done that before, but I feel like I should, and I'm trying to grow as a leader, and I haven't taken a minute off other than a occasional weekend uh, since 8%.
Do you ever feel guilt for taking time off?
I used to more. I'm improving in that area a little bit. Like I used to be the guy that hated vacations and was like, we would go on family vacations and I would just be miserable. I would be thinking about work and all the stuff I need to be doing. Um, Gotten better. If we're behind on our targets for the month, or we're the business is tighter financially, or something's not going well, or relationships are falling apart, then I do feel a lot of guilt for taking time off. Um, but I have gotten to where I can actually like stop and enjoy my life every now and then, because something you asked a second ago that Lauren says, when I get frustrated, like even this happened 2 days ago. Like I watched a video where somebody was a guy named Mo Vlogs. He's got 11 million subs on his channel. He
Mhm.
was interviewing Patrick Bet-David,
Okay.
and PBD was walking him around give him a tour of his house, and then give him a tour of all of his office buildings, like 3 different buildings. And then in one of his office buildings, he has not only event spaces, but he has a hangar because the office is attached to the airport.
Mhm.
And I'm like, Lauren, I get depressed when I watch that stuff because I'm like, I am so freaking far away. And it's like so frustrating because I'm 35. I should be farther along. And she's like, what she says is, will you like stop and look at how blessed we are, how amazing our life was, and how the stuff that we're doing now that you're still not satisfied with, we fought so hard to even get here.
I'm really glad that you're bringing that up. I have so many questions. My head is spinning. But, and I don't know the actual quote, but Alex Hormozy talks about what you just said a lot. He talks, there's a theme of death if you actually really follow him. He always talks about like nobody's going to care about you when you die, right?
Mm,
Like you're like we're all going to be here, we're going to die, they're going to have a funeral, they're going to celebrate your life and mourn your death, and then tomorrow they're going to be making their dinner plans and they'll think about you sometimes, but over time like no one's going to think about you anymore.
yeah.
And he brings that up a lot in his messages because he wants us to be so focused on what we have now, where we're at now. Like if we picture ourselves 10 years ago, 15 years ago, which is another question I have for you in a few minutes, like if you're always trying to project like where you want to be, 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 and you keep growing, 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 you're going to be 90 years old and you're never going to have ever enjoyed where you're at today. And I
True.
think about that sometimes because, like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of it all if we get to not, hopefully, we all get to 90 and we
Yeah.
never just sat and enjoyed? And I
Mm,
feel like people that are so ambitious and driven like you fit right into that category. And it would probably do us both some good, but especially you, to really
probably.
just write it out, and
Yeah.
talk about the things that you're grateful for and that you enjoy.
So
All
is
right.
that a lead into like the four of us are going on vacation together, or that's
Is that an invitation?
Lauren would love it.
Oh, I would love it too, to be
Even
honest.
though you may be way too organized and prepared for a vacation. I don't
You
know.
know what? You might be surprised. So this is a sidebar, and then I'm going to go right into another hard question. Um, Shell and I are leaving to go to Vegas today. So right after my interview with you, we're driving to Vegas for a few days and we're going to try and disconnect. I finally have
Nice.
several leaders on the team that are taking over and like I don't have to be
Yeah.
there after just 5 months. So I'm actually very super proud of that. But we are heading on vacation and oh no, I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say about that? Oh, disconnecting? What were you saying?
Yeah, I talked about how organized and prepared you are and
Oh,
how you
organized.
probably
Yes.
yeah.
So I am actually the least organized, planned, prepared person when it comes to personal vacations. We have no
Yeah.
dinner plans. We have no idea what we're going to do when we get there. We're just going to let it happen. So no, that's not me.
Nice. That's totally Lauren and I on vacation. That's amazing. That sounds great.
Don't panic about that. Okay, next hard question. Ready?
Oh, and real quick, sorry, another note. You do deserve you deserve it. What you've accomplished in a short amount of time, since starting your own thing is incredible. Um, you care so much. You put so much time and effort into it. You show up really well, and I'm incredibly impressed with what you've been able to accomplish such a short amount of time. So you and Shell definitely deserve a few days off.
Thank you, Cody. I appreciate that. All right, here we go.
Okay.
I want to know how you are actively working on, because I'm assuming you are, protecting your culture while growing at scale.
Hmm.
Because there are so many people that are looking to ride the Cody Askins coattails.
Hmm.
And so, what I want to know is when does money not become worth the nightmare of working with people that may not deserve to be on your platform?
Yeah, it's a good question. Something we actually talk about internally more than people probably realize. Because it is so easy. I mean, if you're an agent listening, like, to put this in perspective, it'd be like you get a chance to go make a $1,000, 5 grand, whatever, but this client is going to annoy you forever, or you just hate sitting with them, or everything they say drives you freaking nuts. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not worth the money. Like, it's just not. So to your point, and I can go a little deeper. Like, a few things come to mind. Like, from a culture standpoint, we most people don't know this. First time I've ever said this. I'll probably share this on at Power Players. Technically, we even though our director of operations, I liked a lot, um, her and our operational team didn't really get along. So after 8%, we parted ways. Nobody knows that. That's new.
Wow.
That's
That's
new.
bumps, by the way.
Yeah. An incredible human being, gave 5 years of her life to us, and we love her. We're going to miss her. But from a long term standpoint, it's better for our culture that sh she finds a new home, and we restructure. It sucks as part of business. It's not fun, but at the end of the day, we've got to do what's best for this. We do, we want to take care of our people. We want them to know we care. It hurts when those things happen, but we have to protect the house, right? And Lauren is really good about that. Like as an example, we had a client um, probably 5 months ago. Um, they just they were on a retainer plan with us, and they kept not showing up or promising our team they would do stuff, and they wouldn't do it, and they missed like a bunch of meetings in a row, and it kept wasting my team's time, and this went on for months. Long story short. And I go to Lauren, and Lindsay and I go to Lauren, and we're like, we got to do something with this. And Lauren's like, fire them. I don't want their money anymore. I'm like, really? It was 3 grand a month. I'm like, I kind of want the money. She's like, it ain't worth it. We'll find another one. And so as we grow, also too, this is a deep way to answer the question, but like we have a lot of insurance agents
Mhm.
that count on us to give them good advice
Yes.
and to point them in the right direction. And our reputation means the most to me of everything. Um, and so yeah, I mean, yes, I've had to sever some relationships, and then there's sometimes where from a political standpoint, some people that we work with, they have to see each other, but they don't get along. And it is challenging, but at the end of the day, um, protecting the internal and external culture is still most important, even though I still like money.
Yeah. I think that's something that as a leader, it's not something that you do once. Like this is our culture and this is what we're going to decide, right?
Yeah.
It's probably just it's never going to go away. It has to be a constant conversation to make sure that everybody's in alignment about how to make sure you're doing the right thing. You won't always do the right thing, right? I mean, I think you just said the other day, like you wanted to do something the team didn't want to, or maybe it was opposite, and that's going to happen, and that's how you learn from it,
Yep.
continue to grow.
Well, I mean, I'll share what that is. I've never said this either, but I told myself I would be very transparent and vulnerable on this podcast. And with the way you're asking questions, it's gonna be hard not to be. Um, the we had something with 8% where I felt like there was a block of tickets that for some reason my gut was telling me the show rate on that block of tickets is going to be lower than normal
Mhm.
historically when we look at data. And I the team's like, no, let's just go with what normally happens. And we did. But I ended up, and it's not about this, but I ended up being right. And I
Mhm.
should have trusted my gut. Also, though, there are plenty of times where, like, here's another idea. This is a terrible idea. I had the idea at one point. I said, Dylan, Lauren, et cetera. I said, we need a website where anybody that ever disputes a lead vendor or disputes any charge in our industry, that agent gets put on a blacklist website or
Yeah.
whatever. And they're like, Lauren's like, that is the dumbest idea you've ever come up with. We are never going to do that. It is not positive. That is negative. And please never talk about that again. Right. And that was good advice that we didn't do and we're not going to do.
Okay. Now, Cody, if I sat down with your team, so I
Mhm.
flew to Missouri, I sat down in your office and I kicked you out and I called an all hands meeting with your team,
Hmm.
um, and I asked them a question about working with you, what would they tell me is the hardest part about working with or for Cody Askins?
Ooh. Um, I would say the hardest part about working with Cody that they would probably say, a couple things come to mind. One is that, hmm, dang, this hurts to say, but it's never good enough. Um, and he is always, which again, maybe there's a line, but like, he's always checking on everything that's happening, and he doesn't micromanage us for the most part. Let's just do our job. But if somebody makes a mistake, he'll be the first to find out.
Mm. Do you think they would feel, these are leadership questions that I ask myself, by the way, all the time.
Yeah.
Do
They're
you
good.
think that they feel like you give them more attention when something is wrong or not right? Or do you proactively go out of your way to point out things they're doing well or just check up on them for no reason?
That is something I've had to grow a ton in. My personality is not telling people, you did an amazing job. You worked super hard. Thank you for all you do. Or, hey, how's the dog? Like, oh my gosh, how's the new baby? Like my personality is, as you said, very driven. I'm focused. I'm moving the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I have had to, and going through some stuff to help this, and losing a bunch of people help this too, frankly.
Yeah.
Um, Tends to be what happens. I have gotten not as good as Lauren at that, but I have gotten significantly better at doing more of that because I was historically really bad.
I can relate to that. I definitely, I see a lot of similar leadership qualities that, and look, I'll be 45 this year, so if I haven't, I'm 10 years ahead of you, and I'm still working on it. Um,
I want to be Dana Neeson when I'm 45. Can I just put that out there?
I don't know what goes on in this brain. It doesn't shut off. But yeah, I have to physically. So you know that my team and I were going through the Danelle Delgado
Right.
13 rules program for the next 52 weeks. So we just finished week 3. And we have to write down like what we're grateful for, our goals, and a bunch of things that we have to do to be really intentional. And it is one of my goals. Like I have to physically make sure that I do it to reach out to 3 agents per day,
Mm.
like just to check in for no other purpose than just to say hi and how are you doing and do you need anything? And I noticed you're doing this and point out something good that they do. But and
Wow.
I don't know why it's so hard, but I guess when you're running like a huge or somewhat big business, it's very hard to not be reactive to your whole day, to be very proactive and to reach out to people that are doing the good things. So I was just
Yeah.
curious if you struggle with that too.
It's super challenging. Yeah. Super, I mean, well, I think one of the reasons like we start our morning off with our team with wins is because otherwise people wouldn't get celebrated and recognized.
Yeah,
They just wouldn't.
yeah.
Like, it's funny, like Rodney just hit $750,000 in revenue for the year,
Oh, Rodney.
which is amazing, right? Very cool. I don't even know if we even mentioned it.
Right. Isn't
That
that
that that good. We're moving on.
okay?
Bad that we're not stopping and celebrating that as well as we should.
Hmm.
That does end up affecting the culture too, because like I had somebody work for me for 5 years, and it was their responsibility to tell me and Lauren when it was people's work anniversaries and birthdays.
Hmm.
And then after we parted ways and moved on, they let us know that we missed their 5 year anniversary. Um, Now their job to put it on my calendar didn't go on the calendar.
Hmm.
However, I felt terrible because I'm like, gosh, dang it, 5 year anniversary. That's a big deal. Like 5 years under one roof working with, me especially. Geez Louise, like that's insane. Um, that's hard. That takes a special human being, and I missed it.
And that's a lesson, right? That's a lesson to move forward with. So you teach a lot, not just how to sell insurance or how to grow a team, but I do hear you interweave in your channel about belief, vision, and goals. And so
Yeah.
within that, there's also insecurities that people are struggling with to be able to see the vision and to hit their goals. So, for you, what's one personal insecurity that you might still be working through today that might be, and maybe you don't have one, but that might be preventing you from seeing an even bigger vision or reaching even bigger goals? Do you have one?
Mm. I'm sure I do. I mean, something that comes to mind that I mean, I preach often, but it's still hard. Is like there are always moves that we need to make business wise that to get us that next level that cost money. And I was always good at like taking risk and spending money, well, then it's interesting. Then the business, like we bought our partner out of the marketing company and kind of put it all together and started over to a degree. It became a little harder for me to just pull the trigger on stuff that I feel like we should do because the hurt, the pain, the struggle was still there, you know? And so I would say, um, I've historically always been good at like just making that move, but as it gets bigger and bigger, it gets a little harder, you know? It gets a little harder.
Has there been ever been like a moment in your journey, maybe even just in the last 5 years, or you can talk about the whole thing, but has there been like a pivotal moment in your journey where you seriously considered quitting and walking away from it all? And if that happened, like what pulled you through to keep you going?
Mm. I mean, I think about all the time, like, when is our last 8% ever? Will we do it forever? I don't think we will. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there was a moment where I was like, was there moments where I was like, this is really hard. This sucks. It would be easier if I just started over and did something else. Yes. Plenty of those moments, a lot more than people would think. Was there a moment where I was like, I'm done. I'm quitting? No. Um, Even if there was, like, it wouldn't have ever came out of me, you know, to be honest. Do I see me doing exactly what I'm doing? I think I said that earlier, like the exact same forever, you know, like my pastor and I were having a conversation actually last night and over at his house. And he's like, dude, what's the future look like for Cody? And I'm like, I don't totally know, you know, I don't totally know. Like, I've always wanted to speak, always want to do events, always want to build a brand. We're doing those things, you know, and I'm enjoying it. I love it. But he did ask me one question, which was very interesting. He said, um, he said, is it more about the brand or is it, or, and when does it become more about like individual wealth?
Hmm.
He said, because will you look back if you just keep doing the same thing for 15 years at 50 and be like, dang, I left a lot of money on the table. And I'm like, that's interesting because as I get older, building something that leaves a legacy and that is really unique and special that is worth hundreds of millions of dollars becomes more important.
I'm going to clarify that a little bit because I may have misinterpreted part of what you just said. Because one of the questions, ironically, that I had written down was, what's the legacy you hope 8% Nation leaves behind 20 years from now, beyond numbers and conferences? But when you just said, do I think we're going to do 8% forever? The answer is no. That actually made me really sad
Hmm.
that you said that.
Good.
Because, and I'm going to get my thoughts out clear, but what you had just said is that it's becoming more about a business that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, or whatever you just said.
Sure.
Um, for me, the 8% conference and what you're building is more about the impact you're having on the industry and the agents who attend and the value that they get and bringing people together from different agencies and IMOs that get to collaborate and not compete.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
I mean, if I were to answer my own question to you in 20 years from now, like I would hope that you would build something that people want to see continued, whether you're here or not,
Mm,
because I think it's that
awesome.
important.
I do too. And yeah, maybe that doesn't mean I'm doing it forever, but maybe it's carrying on forever. Yeah, I agree. Because to your point, and it was an interesting question that he asked because like it's always been about helping the struggling insurance agent.
Mhm.
It is never, Lauren can attest this, it has never been about the money to Cody. Never. And people assume that. They see me promote, they see me sell stuff. That's only because, I mean, honestly, it's probably because I've got a big engine. Like, you know, I'm going to spend. Um, I'm gonna spend $8 million this year, maybe nine, right? I've got a big engine.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like I have to outpace that pressure. Totally, right? For sure. I'm thinking about sales right now, you know. However, um, could I strip it all down and make millions a year and it just be about the money? Yes. But we wouldn't do the Ultimate Agent shows. We wouldn't have done the documentary, the 5 city tour, for the Ultimate Agent a couple years ago. We wouldn't have done 8% 8 times. We wouldn't have done 3,600 YouTube videos now, et cetera, et cetera. Et cetera. We wouldn't have done the road shows every month. If it was about the money, like I don't make money on road shows. My goal is to break even on road shows at this point, right? Like, but it has always been about helping people. And I want it to always stay that way. But I also wonder, because I'm so focused on helping the entire industry and every agent in the world, am I actually losing sight of the wealth of a legacy, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
versus the impact of a legacy? And when do they coexist? I don't know. I don't know.
Very thought provoking. I can't wait to watch this back myself.
Me too.
Um, I'm going to shift to Lauren for a second. She's
Cool.
one of my most favorite people in this industry, and she's a little bit outside of it, right? She's
Yeah.
that strength and engine that helps keep you going. And I would actually say the same thing about my husband. Like he's behind the scenes. Nobody knows him unless you know me. But
Yeah.
without Lauren and without Shell, like this would be a lot harder.
Yeah.
And so, is there, if you could say one thing that Lauren has taught you about leadership that no mentor, no coach, or no book could ever teach you, what do you think that could be?
Um, I would say she has taught me that no matter what's going on, or no matter what someone is accomplishing, or not accomplishing, um, they are still a human being that needs love and care and help. She, like, our sales team as an example. It's very easy for me to see them as a number.
Yeah,
You didn't hit your targets this month. Get out of here. You know?
that's old Cody.
Yeah, correct, correct. I agree. I agree. I mean, that definitely happened back in the day for sure. Um, I'll transition to Lauren, but I was sat in a meeting one time several years ago, and I was a guy. He put up 5 grand in revenue in a month, which in our operation is really bad. And
Mhm.
I was like, dude, we're not keeping people that don't do at least 10 anymore. Will you do 10 this next month? And he said, probably not. I said, well, let's help you pack up your stuff. Go
Mhm.
see Cassidy, and she'll see you on your way in front of the whole team.
Mhm.
That's a little intense, right? That's a lot. Um, Lauren is amazing at reminding me, like, how she cares about people and thinks about people. And um, I mean, she loves people so much, but she's also like so protective of my time. Like every night I'll get, I don't know, no less than a couple dozen texts and several calls and FaceTimes and all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it gets tough when she's like, dude, we're on vacation, we're at dinner, like we had an Ultimate Agent call me. This was a season 2 Ultimate Agent call me when I was in the middle. We were in the middle of a dinner at Florida, and it seemed urgent, so I took it, and I spent like an hour on the phone with him. I missed the whole dinner.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and she's like, and it was a really nice place too. And she's like, it's time for you to get a new phone and a different phone number.
You
So
ever do that?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
She's begging me to do that. I haven't yet. Um, I don't know, because I historic like um I have been, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I've been known as someone that communicates well, easy to get a hold of, responds quickly, and is easily accessible.
I would agree with that to a fault, probably.
It is to a fault.
I would agree with that to a fault. It's
I don't know what the answer
interesting
is.
that someone else besides you can clearly see that, but from one leader on a smaller scale to another who's also working on the same thing is I do feel that you are probably easier accessible than you should be. I don't know how to fix it, but that's just my observation.
I don't either. I don't
Um,
either.
Back to Lauren.
Yeah.
Do you think Lauren is ever misunderstood, or does she ever feel misunderstood, based on how the public perceives her, whether it's her looks or her personality?
Hmm.
Does that ever come up?
Yeah, she's way more people assume that this is not the case. Like when we talk to attorneys or bankers or, different stuff or big relationships, she handles a lot more,
Mhm.
makes a lot more decisions, knows what's going on, and has better ideas when it comes to like the team and the operation, and is incredibly sharp in those areas, especially when it comes to the people piece. And most people would never have a clue. And so they just assume that she's Cody's wife. She's fun. She's happy. She's positive. But she's probably not. There's no way she has like a high level business acumen. Well, the stuff that she's went through and that she's helped us through these last couple of years, like we would not have survived without her. Like we just wouldn't have.
What type of assumptions do you think people have on her though? Like, do you or
Uh, yeah, I would say. I mean, I think they assume that like she doesn't help with the business that much.
Mm,
You
I
know,
see that to be true.
but she has way more to do with it than people think. Like she's handling stuff, and I'll find out at the end of the day when we're at home, like, okay, I took care of this, took care of this, I did this, and I'm like, I didn't even know that was going on. Like it'll be like fires or things happen. But if it's bad enough, she'll loop me in and bring me in immediately. But like there's stuff that the team brings to her that they would never bring to me. They just won't. But they know they can bring it to her.
Yeah.
So yeah, but as far as like the glue of the operation from a people standpoint. Like it was funny, Lindsay, Tara, and I were talking this morning, and I was like, yeah, um, Lauren's doing a lot, but I would love to be where she doesn't have to do everything. She doesn't have to be as involved one day if she doesn't want to be. And they're like, oh no, we love Lauren. Like
We
we
don't.
want her around all the time. I'm like, I get it, but
Let's pretend Lauren gets into an accident and she has some sort of amnesia where she does not know Cody out. She doesn't know you as the business owner of 8% of Cody Askins. Like all she knows of you is that you're her husband and
mhm.
you know Brian and Patty's son.
Is this 41st dates or what is the movie that they it's
What? I don't know. I never saw that.
like 41st dates or Along Came Polly or something like that where
She
the
knows
person.
you. She knows that
Yeah.
you're her husband and she knows all of that, but she knows nothing of you on the business side. What do you hope kind of flashes through her mind first about the type of person that you are?
I hope that no matter this is as it gets bigger and bigger, it's like just so challenging. But I hope that she remembers that Cody goes out of his way to help anyone, whether they're a client or not, which is very important.
Yeah.
And I also hope that from a business standpoint, um she sees that probably that she sees that no matter what, Cody is going to find his way through any obstacle, and it's going to do whatever it takes for to take care of us.
Last question about you and Lauren, and then just a couple more about
Sure.
business and then we'll wrap things up. Um,
I'm also okay time wise, by the way. I don't know if you are, but I'm okay. So
okay, perfect. I just want people to watch the whole thing. Because
Maybe
there's so much.
7 hours, they may not, I
7 hours,
don't
no,
know.
that's a little long. Um, you guys have started to become more vocal in public about the fact that you have not been able to have kids.
That was the first time I've said that at 8%, I think.
I think did Roger ask you about that in your interview with him when he interviewed you guys?
Probably,
I
I don't
feel like
remember.
I think I've heard you talk about it before.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
been
danced around
talked
the
about, but
idea. I danced around the idea whether or not I wanted to ask you about it. But I think that this, for people that weren't at 8%
I
or
think it's
haven't
good.
seen you talk about it, I think it's really important to let people in on the human element of just being a person and being a human outside of the Cody Askins brand and the things that you guys struggle with privately behind the scenes. How long were you trying to have kids? Have you stopped trying to have kids? Do you plan on adopting kids? And like, give us a few minutes of like what that's been like.
Yeah,
Um, and if that still like hits deep, why you decided to share it at 8%. So I just asked you like 1,100 questions in one thing. So,
you're
but let's
good.
talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, we've been together almost 15 years. We've been married for almost 12. September 14th will be 12 years. September 14th of 2025 will be 12 years. Married in 2013. I was at 8%. Emily, well, to answer your question before I go there, well, we have always not not tried. If that makes sense. Like
Okay.
we've been okay if kids have came. We've definitely not prevented it anyway ever, and they just never come,
Mhm.
right? So far. Um, I don't know if I would ever adopt. Lauren would. I've got a stubbornness and like a mental block towards it for some reason. I'm not saying that's right in any capacity because I think there's a lot of kids that probably need to be in a good home, and I do think it would be fun to like raise kids and be a coach and be, a dad, right? Plus I've had an amazing, you're gonna get me emotional by the way, which you figured probably. I had an amazing parents, amazing father, that like poured into me and the biggest thing that my parents gave me, and then I want to share a story about Emily Ford at 8%.
Yeah.
Um, the biggest thing that my parents gave me that most kids don't get, and it is the biggest reason why, one of the biggest reasons why I am who I am today, just put it that way, is because my parents made me believe I could do anything. They just did. Um, so at 8%, and I could go into that, we could talk about the parents and relationship and all that for forever. But at 8%, Emily Ford got done with her towards the end of her talk. She did the one, the 10 different things that you've been through as a, from 0 to 18, and you were a 0 to a 10, right? All that. Um, and
And
at
just
the
more
end,
context for the people that weren't there. These are questions about trauma,
yeah,
right? They were questions related to trauma that you have experienced before the age of 18, bad trauma. And we don't have to go into the details of the questions, but physical abuse, sexual abuse, like
verbal.
violence. And every time she read a question, you had to either answer a zero that never happened to you or a one that it did happen to you. And then go ahead and continue. And then at
Yep.
the
And then she had people stand up, and there were people that were a 0. There were people that were a 1. There were people that were an 8. There were people that were a 10. Several people in the audience were literally a 10. They could answer yes to everything, and all that happened to me before 18, right? Which I sympathize with that so much. That is very different than the childhood that I was blessed with, right? The But after that, she had us walk through like a visualization of like, where you like your dream home, and like she had us walking through these different scenarios with everybody's eyes closed in the whole room. And there was a part where she said, like, you look to the left and you see this. And then you look to the right and you see your kids playing. And I'm like, dang. Hmm. Well, when she said that, I had no intention of, I have notes for a lot of stuff that I do, but for 8%, obviously, downstage monitors. That was definitely not on Cody's notes. And there were several things that happened that were not on Cody's notes. Um, that always happens. It's amazing. But that was one thing that was not planned. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really ever talk about this. We would like, we would, I say we would like to have kids. We're pretty sure we'd like to have kids. I think it's like Lauren would love to have kids, and Cody is just would kind of want to have kids, but doesn't want to say it because he can't have it. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's one of those.
I get it.
For being honest, for being
Yeah.
honest, that's definitely more my personality anyway. Um, and so yeah, I broke down and shared at the end of day 2 of 8% that we have always wanted to have kids and we couldn't. And I've tried to be better. This is part of connecting with an audience and letting people in that I felt like held my brand back for far too long.
Mhm.
I have trouble letting people in. I'll say what I'm thinking. I'll bring value. I'll be ADHD half the time. All this stuff, right? But like that you guys have seen. But I have trouble letting people in. But people want to be let in. And if I'm ever gonna let anybody in, like I want it to be our 8% audience. And so that's what happened, and I don't know the rest of the story quite yet. So
Um, there was something that Roger Short said to me that ties into this whole story, which is when you're always trying to lead with the most perfect version of yourself, then the people that are following you always think that they can never get to where you're at, right? Like you're too perfect or you do everything
yeah,
right. Like I can never do that. I can never get there. And when you start and it's not even like letting people in the way that maybe we think about it in our head.
yeah,
But when you start to strip away some of the perfection and you start to allow yourself to be vulnerable, which is the word, and start to share some imperfections of yourself and your life and your story and how you are working through that and still have a 8-figure brand, 9-figure brand, I don't even know. Because we all struggle, right? We all have things that we go through that we hide, like we intentionally hold back. We don't want people to see. But those are the things and the stories that shape us because that's what allows someone to relate to us as a person. Just give a little plug to Ashley Coley. When you interviewed her on your podcast at Power Players and she shared her story, like that was the first time I had ever heard it. And I felt like a strong connection towards her as a person outside of this huge business that she's done. And I think it would really serve you and your audience well. This is just my humble opinion. If you did a podcast sharing some of the most vulnerable moments and struggles in the last few years that you've gone through, what it did to you, and how you were able to overcome that and continue to grow. Like sharing that part of you, I think it will make you so relatable to people that think they can never get to where you're at.
yeah. I do too. It's a phenomenal idea. I also, and you kind of know that you kind of learn this. Like I assumed that I had to be perfect and that everything had to be right and it mattered what you know what I wore and whatever, right? Like, and at the end of the day, um, people do connect more and find me more relatable when I miss I mess up and we leave it in, or I am vulnerable, or like, dude, I had more people respond to me talking about being like an undiagnosed, unprescribed ADHD
Yeah.
at 8% 2024 than probably anything else I ever shared. Like those are the things like that's why when people see stuff like we don't edit a lot. Like when I do podcast, we don't edit at all. Like I don't want to because if I'm okay with messing up or forgetting my train of thought because it does let people in. It does.
Is there any other part of your story, Cody, that you have still intentionally held back from sharing publicly that you want to share now?
Mm, that's good. I mean, the biggest complaint that people like, it's interesting. I go to these couple things. One, I go to these events, whether it's road shows or other people's events, and I have these people that will come up. Actually, this happened at a Medicare event a few years ago, actually several years ago, and I had two different people come up, and they were like, um, "I did not." This was right after I got off stage. They're like, "When I watched you online, I did not think I liked you. Like, I just didn't like you at all." And I'm like, oh, "Okay." Um, but after hearing you speak and hearing your heart and like getting a chance to meet you, um, I can tell that you mean well and that you're a good dude and you try to always do the right thing, right? Well, I can tell you this. The toughest part of my business that I love but is also the toughest part is owning a lead business. And do I think I'll own a lead business forever? No. I may eventually sell it. Who knows? But like, I say that because I like people winning when they transact with us. And I prefer that every relationship goes amazing and that we love it, live up to our end of the bargain. People are happy when they are around us and do stuff with us. Well, that is impossible if you own a lead company. Impossible. And
Yeah.
no matter how much good we do, um, you know, if someone only buys 20 leads one time, there is no guarantee they're going to make any money and then they're gonna go blast Cody online. And that keeps me up at night more than anything else. Like quick. I want you to see what we're gonna say, but like quickly, I had a guy this weekend that, um, full transparency, disputed a lead charge, and he started getting a hold of me on social, so I started talking back, and like communicating. Because if I could help a situation, freak, I need to, Well, he then went on to be like, yeah, every lead I've ever bought, none of them ever worked, and here was the problem with all of them. And he's listing all these different companies, and then he's like, well, and I'm like, well, did you dispute them too? He's like, yeah, I dispute everything. I don't make money on it. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
What? Um, so it is. I say all that to say, like, it is very challenging running a business that is based on results that we cannot control. Like if all our leads only ever went to Dana Neeson, I'd be a gazillionaire. But it's not true.
You know that, oh man, I guess like talking about leads and sales, like I think that's probably what a lot of people are going to expect this podcast to end up being, is talking about leads and conversion rates and sales. And like one day I want you back and we can do a role play and we can do
Sure.
diving into all that. Like I could talk about leads and volume and all of that for a whole other hour. So I'm
Mhm.
actually going to restrain myself. I'm not going to speak on that at the moment
That's
because
hard to do, probably.
it is super hard for me to do, but this is the Cody show today. I want to know everything about you, and I want the audience to know more about you. We'll talk about that stuff on another day. Are you okay with that?
Totally okay with that. It's kind of a nice change of pace. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm struggling, but I'm going to do it.
It's awesome.
Um, okay. I want to talk about just like building a brand again, a little bit that I didn't get a chance to ask you because I kind of bounced around a little bit. But if everything you built completely disappeared today and you had to rebuild from
Mhm.
scratch, first, would you rebuild as like an agent? Would you rebuild? And like no one knew your name, right? So
Mhm.
everything you built disappeared. There's no more CA brand, none of that. You're now like 15 years ago, however long it was when you got back into the business, but you're at your age today. Like what's your 90-day game plan for your trajectory for getting back in as a brand new agent?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I, when you first said like you lose the whole brain, you have to start over. The weirdly is my first thought was, It sounds like fun. It's
Get on YouTube. That's my answer.
yeah, yeah. I would I would document me personally selling every day
Mhm.
for 90 days. And I would do like a day in the life, showing people what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. And I would upload every day for 90 days, and
I love that. I think that's the best possible answer you could have given, to be honest. I have an agent right now who has been struggling with getting on the phone and putting in the activity and just like not doing the thing, right? And so I said, I need you to create a YouTube channel and I need you to start documenting
hmm,
the next 30 days. And I want you to post every single day what happened in your day, who you spoke to, like how many leads did you call? Like just start telling the world. And I had my whole team subscribe to his channel. And like, so sometimes
good.
it's to help build your new brand, right? But also it's to help people have that like accountability to do the activity that they won't do when no one's looking.
Yep. Yep. It's honestly like if someone is ever feels like they, need to lose some weight as a general example,
Mhm.
put them on camera. It it's incredible. Like you start like people, yeah, when they're held accountable and people see them publicly, like they treat it different. Like I think, well, that's why the Ultimate Agent show has done so well. Like you put people on camera for 12 hours a day, and it's like, holy crap, they just work. We've never had anybody not work every minute they were on the Ultimate Agent because they knew the world was watching.
When is Ultimate Agent going to be airing, by the way?
That's a great question. We talked about this morning, and I'm like, guys, I thought this was going to be done about a month after 8%. And they're like,
Everyone's
Keith's like,
forgetting about it, that it even happened.
yeah, yeah. Keith's like, we're close. Well, we're almost done with episode one. I'm like, okay. So I'm hopefully in the next, it'll be hopefully sometime in August for sure. So,
Cody, I had so many more questions that I wanted to ask you. I didn't get a chance to ask all of them, but I also don't want this to be the marathon interview session. We're also driving to Vegas now. So I'm going to ask you one final question.
okay.
If this was the last interview you ever gave and your words had to outlive you, what would you want every struggling agent, every struggling business owner, every dreamer listening to know before they quit?
Hmm. Maybe you're just fitting in when you were truly called to stand out. I heard my pastor say that at a men's conference like 3.5 years ago, October of 21, I guess, October of 21. And like, I never dreamed me just putting up some YouTube videos to help some agents would lead to everything it's led to today. Like, I had no idea. If I acted like I did, I'd be full of it. I mean, and I'm sure I have along the way, but like, I had no clue. Um, if you believe in something hard enough and you go at it long enough, there is no, literally no ceiling. And it's crazy now to say, never said this either, I don't think, like, especially not on a podcast, like, we are on pace to do right at 10 million bucks this year in revenue. Like, we did 4.999 the first 6 months. Thank you. So just under 10, right? Right at 10. Um, I never dreamed that would be true. But if you dream big enough and you work hard enough, you can get so much better and accomplish so much more and help so many more people than you ever dreamed. Like, you really can.
I believe it. It's very powerful. Those words, when you actually live them, they can be true for every single person who stuck with us and watched this. I think continuing to share more personal stories of the people that have quote unquote made it, but are still working just as hard today as they did 10 years ago, is what people need to see. They need to see it's not like we made it and now we're going to go on a yacht and go on vacation or fly in a jet, which I still think Cody needs to get. Um, And just being real and being human, and that we all struggle, and that we all struggle with success, and balancing our personal lives and our work lives. And the more you just keep at it, the more real the dream becomes. Thank you for being here today, Cody.
Thank you. You're amazing. Love you. Thank you so much for your time.
We love you too. And I'm super excited to work even closer with you and the rest of your team this year. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Amen.
Thanks so much.